Virginia Spargrove. Join us as we look back. Charles Elmer, A Celebration of Love, 45 years long. This video celebrates the life, love, and marriage of Charles and Virginia Spargrove. Join us as we look back. Charles Elmer Spargrove, Jr. and Virginia Sherbin were married July 24, 1946 in Coggan, Iowa. Mavis and Jim Brandt stood up with them. Virginia Sherbin is the daughter of Amos Sherbin and Myrtle Elder, who were married July 17, 1907. This is a picture of Myrtle. They had 9 children. Amos Lee was born and died December 26, 1910. Robert was born December 26, 1911 and died in 1916. Florence was born in 1914. She went to the University of Iowa and Mount Vernon College to become a registered nurse. She served as a nurse in World War II. She taught and became Dean of Nursing in Chicago. Florence passed away in 1981 from cancer. Eleonora, on the far right, was born in 1919 in Eldora. She was the only child to be born in a hospital because she was premature. She went to the University of Northern Iowa and became a teacher. Phil was born in 1921 and resides in Des Moines. Carol was born in 1924. Unfortunately, she was born with Down syndrome. She passed away in 1975. Virginia was born December 18, 1926. She is the feature of our story today. Daniel was born in 1929. This is a picture of him in 1954. Edith was born in 1933. This is a picture of the 4 sisters taken in 1979. Eleonora and Virginia, Edith and Florence. This is a picture of Virginia Sherbin's class. We think maybe it's the 4th grade. She is in the 2nd row, the last girl on the right. This is a picture of the Center Point School, April 1938, 5th and 6th grade. Can you find Virginia? She's in the 2nd row, in the very middle. This is Virginia's high school graduation picture. She graduated in 1944. After high school, Virginia attended the University of Iowa for 1 year and then went down to Des Moines and attended the American Institute of Business College. James K. Spargrove is the oldest ancestor that we can trace. He lived in Ohio, and he or his wife was a member of the Blackhawk Sac Indian tribe. James also served in the Civil War on the northern side. James and his wife Susan had 1 son, John, who was born in 1868. This is a picture of John and his wife Margaret. They were married November 1st, 1892. They had 8 children. Charles Elmer was born December 28, 1896. He was the 3rd child. Charles married Rosa Gladwin and they had 5 children. This is a picture of Charles and Rosa. Rosa brought 3 children from a previous marriage into this family. They were Marie, Flora. This is a picture of Elvin. Elvin served in the United States Army during World War II. He was one of the men to storm Normandy Beach. He was captured in July after Normandy when he was wounded. He was held in a German prison camp for 11 months. He returned to the United States in June of 1945, weighing only about 90 pounds. 60 days later, he was called up again and sent down to Texas to be retrained to fight in the Pacific. There, he started going through post-war syndrome. He spent his remaining years in a nursing home. He died in 1990. This picture is Marvel, Elvin, and Charlie, taken in 1981 at the nursing home where Elvin resided. This is a picture of the kids: Mavis, Marvel, Charlie, Wilma, and Evelyn. This picture was taken at a Spar Grove reunion. This is a school picture of Charles Elmer Spargrove Jr. This is a picture that Charlie had taken before he entered the service. He never graduated from Central City High School because he joined the service at the age of 17. He joined in April 7th, 1944. Central City is where he and Virginia met. Charlie served in the Navy on the USS South Dakota in the Pacific Theater. This was when Charlie was at boot camp and he was responsible for washing everyone's clothes. This was shot on the USS South Dakota. On the USS South Dakota, Charlie was able to go through the Panama Canal. He was also off the coast of Japan when the bomb was dropped. This is one of the mascots that was on the ship USS South Dakota. Who is this good-looking sailor? And who's that woman with them? Charlie. Another woman? This is Virginia and Charles. This picture was taken March 17, 1946 at 2715 High Street in Des Moines. Certificate of Satisfactory Service, United States Navy. This is to certify that Charles Elmer Spargrove Jr., Seaman First Class, has served and satisfactorily completed a period of training and service on active duty in the United States Navy, World War II. Period of active duty from April 7, 1944 to June 10th of 1946. This is Charlie and Virginia during their courting days. Jenny jumping rope. Charles and Virginia were married July 24th, 1946. After their marriage, they lived in Des Moines. They then moved to Cedar Rapids. Charlie worked at Pinnacle Ford, and Virginia worked as a secretary across town. Honey, the Sunday before Easter, 47. Virginia, the Sunday before Easter, 1947. This is the house they lived in Cedar Rapids. They had the upstairs apartment. In 1948, Charlie and Virginia started farming at Greeley with Wilma and Ivan. Charlie borrowed $1,000 and bought 5 cows, 2 sows, a team of horses, harness, and tools. September 11, 1948, Diane was born. Grandma Sherbin, Diane, Virginia, and Charlie
Splish splash, Diana's in the bath. Let me take my fish in the bath.
In 1950, the family moved from Greeley to a farm in Strawberry Point. Darlene was born at this farm on November 3rd, 1950.
This is the hen house full of hens that laid eggs, and they made more money selling eggs than selling milk.
This is Darlene in the spring of 1951. Diane in spring of 1951. Diane was taken from us August 26, 1951. She died of leukemia. This is a picture of the farm in Strawberry Point taken in 1952. Barb joined the family in September 27, 1952. Connie joined the family October 29, 1954. This picture was taken in 1955.
Hey, don't leave me here all alone. Hang on.
This is Barb, Connie, Candy, and Virginia in the summer of 1957. This is the only picture we have found that shows Virginia pregnant. She's pregnant with Chuck. This would be in the late summer of 1957. Charles Elmer Spargrove III joined the family October 18, 1957. He was welcomed home by his 4 sisters, and boy was Charlie glad to finally have a boy. This picture was taken in the spring of 1959. This is a picture of the 4 girls, dressed up in their Sunday finery. Notice the matching dresses of Darlene and Barb, and Connie and Candy. Candy's trying to decide if her sweater is buttoned right. Barb, Chuck, and Candy. The swing set was a popular place for everyone to play. Say cheese! Darlene says she loves Chuck a whole bunch. Darlene, Chuck, Candy, Barb, and Connie. On July 30th, 1959, Jim entered the family. 1960 was an exciting year for the family. After Jim was born, they realized the house they were living in was too small. So the family moved to town while their new house was being built. Then, after they had moved into the new house, December 4th, 1960, John Edward Spargrove joined the family. This is Candy's kindergarten graduation cap. Daddy made sure her hat was on straight. This is a picture of the 7 kids. John was the baby back then. Chuck shows off his horsemanship skills. In 1962, Brian joined the family. On October 29th, Connie must have thought that he was her own personal birthday present. This is Barb holding Brian. Barb, Brian, and Candy. This is a picture of the 8 kids plus 1. Barb, Darlene, Candy, Connie, Brian, John, Jim, and Chuck. A family picture. This was taken the winter of 1962. Connie and Candy, Jim and John. The first day of school, September of '63. Jim and John got in on the picture because they must have been up at that time. This was Chuck's first day of school. Daddy must have been taking this family picture. In the picture are Brian and Mom, Darlene and Barb, Connie, Candy, Chuck, Jim, and that's John in front. Chuck actually graduated kindergarten. Darlene was confirmed in 1964. The kids enjoyed the wagon. This is Connie, John, Chuck, Brian, and Candy. This is the wagon that John was supposed to have hit and knocked a tooth out so that he ended up having braces. This is a picture of John and Brian taken in 1966. This is a picture of Brian and his golden curls and John. "1966 was a busy year for the Spargrove family. In June of 1966, John had open heart surgery to repair a dysfunctional valve. Connie was diagnosed with diabetes. And this is a first day of school picture. A professional portrait of the family. This picture was taken Palm Sunday of 1967. John and Brian. Darlene graduated in 1968. Let's look at what she looked like during her school years. Kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth, 10th, 11th, her high school graduation picture. Darlene's graduation party. The first day of school, September of '68. Candy's confirmation picture. This is Barb. Barb graduated in 1970. This is her kindergarten picture. Her fourth grade picture. This family picture was taken in 1970. First day of school, the fall of 1970. Candy and Connie, all dolled up. Another school day picture. In 1972, Connie graduated. These are her school year pictures. Connie in second grade. Connie in glasses. Connie's graduation picture, the class of 72. August 1972, school starts again. May of 1973, Darlene graduates college. Darlene in her cap after her graduation. Another school year. This is 1973. Jim, we love your outfit. 1974 was a busy year for the Spargrove family. Barb graduated from college. Candy also graduated from high school in 1974. Roger, Barb, and Candy shared their graduation party. Jim and his house. Darlene, Randy, and Candy. Randy was having a terrific time. Connie and Randy were married June 29th, 1974. 3 weeks before Connie and Randy's wedding, Daddy decided that the boys' bedroom should become the living room. So as Barb was busy making all the bridesmaid dresses and the wedding dress, Daddy and the boys were remodeling the house. What a mess, Barb says. Barb and Roger Williams were married August 10th, 1974. Darlene and Ed Cook were married December 30th, 1974. Connie and Randy and Candy attended the wedding that was held down in Oklahoma. 1975. John is confirmed. Chuck, Brian, and Connie visit Barb and Roger in Chicago. We're having a great time, says Jim. The USS South Dakota Battleship Memorial, the reunion in 1975. In 1976, Connie graduated from Upper Iowa University. In 1976, Charles Elmer Spargrove III also graduated. This is him in his kindergarten picture. Chuck was the first Spargrove boy to play football. He didn't realize that he would really start something on Friday nights when everyone in the family would head out to the football games. This is Chuck's senior picture, the class of 1976. Chuck and Connie, class of 1976. Chuck and Connie's graduation party at the farm. May 1976, Roger, Charles Spargrove Sr. and Charles Spargrove Jr. after Grandpa's sale. Charlie and Jenny become grandparents for the first time on August 4th, 1976, when Mark Williams is born. Here we have a 4-generation picture with Barb, Charlie Jr. and Mark, and Charlie Sr. Mark was pretty tuckered out after collecting all of those pumpkins. Ed and Darlene welcomed the birth of Amy, born November 21st, 1976, from high school. Jim was the second Spargrove in the family to play football. Jim was also plagued with knee problems during his football career. Jim's high school graduation picture. The two grandchildren had a chance to get together in early 1977. Grandpa has a big start with his hands full. How was he to know that later his arms would have to grow 4 times that size? This is the way that Amy liked to eat watermelon. No hands. Mark got himself a baby brother on July 25th, 1977. They named him Chad. Is that a tired baby or a screaming baby? A typical Sunday spent at the Spargrove home was spent watching the football games, baseball games, basketball games, anything that had the word ball in it, was watched by the Spar Grove men and eventually the Spar Grove women. This is a picture of John, Brian, Jim, and Kathy. This must have been one of the weekends that Jim was home from Iowa State. On October 15, 1977, Jim and Kathy were married. Mark and Chad. Amy, Christmas of 1977. Mark and Chad kept right on growing in 1978. Jim and Kathy's first child, Steve, was born April 15, 1978. Chuck and Jane, Jim and Kathy, attended prom that May. John attended prom with Cheryl. By June, Mark and Chad were out helping Grandpa with chores. Look at all the kitties. Scrub-a-dub-dub, Mark and Chad are in the tub. Connie and Randy started the new year off right, with Chris being born January 3rd, 1979. Mark and Chad think their new cousin is pretty neat. Grandma and Grandpa show Chris off to Great-Grandpa. Mark and Chad are showing off their new suits that Florence bought for them. The three Charles Elmer Spargroves. Connie and Randy attending the prom in 1979. In 1979, John graduated. John's high school graduation picture. Hamming it up for the camera. John's graduation party. Mom and Randy having a swinging good time down at Osborne Park. Mark and Chad checking out the equipment. In the fall of '79, John attended Hawkeye Institute of Technology. When he came home one day and said he'd met a girl, everyone was shocked to think that he was not dating a hometown girl. But it turned out to be all right when they did find out she was a county dairy princess. At least she was in the right profession. Football was an important part of the Spargo family, and the number 34 was reserved for Chuck, Jim, and eventually Brian. It didn't take long for Chris to start growing, and Amy turned 3. Chris celebrated his first birthday at Christmas time when he was home. February 9th, 1980, Chuck and Jane were married. Mark was a little ring bearer. Mark and Chad kept right on growing. And so did Amy and Chris. This is Randy Knosby in the National Guard. This picture was taken down in Georgia. In the summer of 1980, John attended the National Agricultural Technical College judging contest. He was the overall winner in the dairy judging contest. Fall of 1980 brought about the return of the football season. Brian, wearing number 34, was one of the co-captains. Every Friday night, the Spar girls trooped into their cars to the football games, wherever they may be. Brian made 5 touchdowns against Central City. Mom and Daddy on one of their monthly trips out to Chicago to see Barb. Connie and Chris went with him this time. John and Peggy are trying real hard to get Chris converted to the cowboy way of thinking, but we have to lose that necklace. Jim graduated from Iowa State University in February with a degree in teaching vocational agriculture. On March 18th, 1981, Amy got to welcome home little Melissa. On March 27th, Shara was born to Jim and Kathy. John and Peggy graduated from Hawkeye Institute of Technology. John's graduation party. Randy and Chris are both so big. The 4 grandsons, plus their friend Carl. John and Peg were married April 25th, 1981. A family picture taken at the wedding. Brian graduated in May of 1981. Brian with Jessica and Melissa. A picture of the grandkids. Steve, Chad, Amy, Chris, Mark, Jessica, Shara, Ryan, Melissa. A picture taken at Florence's funeral in '81. This is Texas Charlie. Mom and Dad celebrate their 35th wedding anniversary. One of many family pictures. This is a picture of the grandkids. Candy and John in Mom and Daddy's wedding attire.
Mommy had two.
Chuck and Jane being visited by John and Peg after Jessica is born, August 28th. Jessica's baptism. Amy and Melissa keep right on growing. John and Peggy welcomed Ryan Charles Spargrove into the world on November 12th. John and Peggy's first family picture. Brian and Jessica. Amy and Melissa. Our four superheroes. In 1982, Joshua discovered pigs. Ryan kept growing. Amy and Melissa too. John, Ryan, and Chris. Ryan and Jessica. Shara and Jessica with Grandpa. Ed, Melissa, and Amy. Chad and Chris on the 4th. The four Spargrove men. Chuck and Jessica. Jim and Shara. John and Ryan. Jessica's first birthday. Candy and Chris. Jim caught napping. Ryan's first tractor ride. Kendra joined the family September 24th, 1982. Chris was glad to have a little sister. Their first family picture. Melissa is not pleased. Steve and Shara. Candy and Kendra. Everyone was saddened at the stillborn death of Jeremy, son of Chuck and Jane, on March 10, 1983. July 17, 1983. A picture of the grandkids. Melissa, Ryan, Kendra, Jessica, Shara. Amy, Steve, and Chris. Grandma and Melissa. Kendra with Walter Mondale. John and Peggy were overjoyed at the birth of Amanda Marie Spargrove on August 8th. Kendra is wearing the same dress that Connie wore when she was 1 year old in the picture with Darlene and Barb. Kendra at her first birthday. Brian and Cheryl were married on November 5th, 1983. Chad was the ring bearer. Chuck, Jane, and Jessica. Jane, Mom, Mark, Connie, and Jessica. Jessica and Ryan. Ryan learned how to milk cows at a very early age, with some help of his dad, of course. John and Peggy's burned out car. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the car was a total loss.
If you want to play ball, you have to wear a hat.
Jason and Justin were born July 6, 1984. What a handful Grandma has. Chris and Kendra. Jessica with the twins right after they came home. Kendra's second birthday. Melissa, Kendra, and Amanda. Megan was born November 17th, 1984. The first child of Brian and Cheryl. Kendra likes her girl cousins. Another picture of the grandkids. Chris, Chad, Mark, and Steve. Jessica, Kendra, Shara, Ryan, and Amanda. John, Ryan, Amanda, Grandma and Grandpa, Chris and Kendra finally got to go down to Oklahoma. Christmas Eve, 1984. Jason and Justin, 1985. The grandkids, 1985. Megan getting into trouble. Amy and Melissa. Candy's school picture. Family picture taken in 1985. Down at Backbone. Kyle was born to Brian and Cheryl on July 30th, 1986. In '86, Jenny was named Mother of the Year in Clayton County. Because of this, she was up for state competition. All of the family went to Washington, Iowa to be part of the ceremonies that evening. We are all so very proud of her. In 1986, Charlie and Jenny celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary with a renewing of their wedding vows. Here they are with Marvel and Jim, who stood up at their original wedding. Them and the grandkids. Joshua John was born February 28, 1987, to John and Peggy. Jacob was born July 21st, 1987, to Chuck and Jane. Joshua's first Christmas, all dressed up in his tux. Jacob's first Christmas. Amy and Melissa. Candy and Keith were married in 1988. May 28th to be exact. Candy and Keith came to Iowa for a wedding reception for all of those who couldn't make it. Chuck holding Jacob and Joshua. Keith holding Kendra and Jessica. John and Peg's farm is called Irish Grove Holsteins. Jacob is learning to milk cows. Joseph joined Chuck and Jane's family on June 26, 1989. A picture of the grandkids in 1989. This picture keeps getting bigger and bigger. Connie and Randy's family. Kyle and Megan. Jessica with her godparents on the event of her first communion. First family campout in 1989. Darlene with Joseph. Ryan goes in to see a Cubs game. Hans and Franz. Candy and Keith in their Easter musical. A family picture in 1989. Shaylee was born to Brian and Cheryl on May 23, 1990. Shane was born to Jim and Kathy on August 13, 1990. School pictures. Our annual campout. Two very tired campers. And Darlene's family picture. Mark and Chad. Candy and Keith with the stealth bomber. Melissa. Ryan had his first communion. Cowboy, Joshua John. Heidi Elaine was born to Keith and Candy on May 17, 1991. Jill Marie was born to Chuck and Jane on June 7, 1991. 1991 marks the 45th wedding anniversary of Charles and Virginia. A marriage that has been filled with love, some sadness, more happiness, and the marriage is an everlasting symbol to their children of what love is all about. We now have 22 grandchildren in the family. We have survived broken bones. We've survived broken ankles, fingers, stabbed foots, broken elbows, bad ankles, and broken noses. Plus a lot of other stitches and scrapes and bruises. In our family we have runners, basketball players, dancers, and baseball players, just to name a few. Also in the family we have eaters, leaders, and sleepers. But none of that would be possible without the love between Charles and Virginia.